Andre Overdahl said he wants to make the scariest Dracula film today. So, did he accomplish that? Is this a movie that we can sink our teeth in, or is this just another bad Dracula film? Come find out. Welcome to Cine Here, where you come for all of your media needs. My name is Ray, and today I am reviewing The Last Voyage of the Demeter, directed by Andre Overdahl, starring Corey Hawkins and Ashlyn Franchosi. This film is about a crew sailing to England only to find out that they have some very dangerous cargo below. The first thing I want to give praise to is the set pieces. I think everything looked great. I loved how in the scenes that was meant to be very dark and rainy, how all of that fit well and it all looked good on the screen. The premise of this film is actually something that is so interesting because as a writer, how do you trap your victims in a location so that the monster has a good chance of getting them, while at the same time making it something that is believable, right? Because a lot of horror films struggle with logical decisions done by the people that are involved. Because usually when you are involved in something horror related, why not just leave, right? The biggest thing is to get up and leave. And a lot of people don't make that rational decision. So if you want to make a story around people that are trying to survive a monster attack, the best way to do it is to trap them in the area. So having them on a boat, traveling to England, trying to not get killed by Dracula each and every night is a solid premise to a story. Now, the execution, on the other hand, is a whole nother matter completely. I'm not saying that this movie is bad, but what I am saying is the worst part about this movie is Dracula himself. He has no personality. He just feels like a mindless monster that just wants to kill to feed himself. And everyone knows that Dracula has swag. Dracula is at the top of the food chain and survived as long as he did because not only is he charismatic, but he is very smart and practical. Dracula knows exactly what to do to get the job done. And in this film, he felt more like a monster than a man. Despite this movie not being the greatest, hopefully you are liking this review so far. And if you do, go ahead and hit that like button for me. I would greatly appreciate it. Now back to the review. Now what did work is the casting. I think everybody did a solid job of really bringing their characters to life. And I love how when you are going on a journey and a monster is killing people, how that can wane on your psyche. And I think that the writing that was done with each character and how they dealt with it was great. But I will have to say Corey Hawkins and David Dastmalchian's performance were the two that stood out the most out of everybody else. Again, everybody did good, but I think those two were probably the best. And they brought all of these great characters to life. It's just sad that Dracula did not hold up his end of the bargain. So now let's talk about the horror aspect of this film, seeing that it is a horror film. Dracula being the weakest part of this film did not help us out in being scared at all. Yes, they do have a lot of tension-filled scenes. The scares were built up really well. Andre, you did a good job in that. But the payoff, being that Dracula was the payoff in this, did not help this film, because every time he actually got involved and we seen him on the screen, his presence was never menacing enough. And it almost like Dracula did not take this serious. It was almost like another day in the office for him. And that is just not good when it comes to building tension, because Dracula needs them as much as they need to try to survive from him. So I wanted to see that good balancing act of the hunting the prey. And we did not get enough of that. And I think a meaningful way in this film. In the end, I would have to give The Last Voyage of the Demeter a 6 out of 10. I do believe that with Dracula holding down this film from being something that was actually worth watching, and the characters in this film holding it up enough to say that it is watchable, that is the reason why I have to stick with a 6. Now, I can say at the end of the film, maybe they could go in a direction that might be something worth watching in the future. I don't want to say no more than that. If you watch this film, maybe you will see what I'm talking about. If you enjoyed this review, make sure that you give it a like. If you love what I do, make sure that you follow or subscribe so that you can see more of me and my content. And do not let the conversation in here go down in those comments. Let's have a conversation there. And let me know what your favorite Dracula portrayal is. Personally, I got to go with the animated series, Castlevania. That's just me. But I want to hear what yours is. And don't forget, you've seen it here.